Hey, Coach. Happy opening night.
Thank you.
With this being your first head coaching role, I'm just curious, when you look back at your journey and everything that it took to get to this point, what is this moment like for you?
I think I've been asked that a lot recently, obviously leading up to today. I don't think about it a ton. It's on to tonight, it's on to tomorrow. It's kind of how I've stayed. I'd be lying if I didn't say it means a lot to my family. So I know they're proud. And I know it's a big event, big night for them. But for me, I'm ready for the pregame talk. Ready for the first quarter to see how it goes. And I'll probably stay there. I don't think I'll get out of that moment. So there'll be a time when I come look at it, but not right now.
Looking at tonight's matchup, I know you said that you just want to see the guys come out and compete, but what else are you focused on and wanting to see from this group?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part, is like just knowing the work that this group has put it in together to develop our own style of play. And we want to see what that looks like against another team as we open this season. And then just anticipating what's next, what's to come, the best we can with how defenses will guard us, how teams will try to attack us. But, yeah, the compete thing is a concept that we're going to keep at the forefront. And no matter what our schemes are, what the other team's schemes are, that's what we'll keep in mind.
Hey, Jordan. I know you've talked about this quite a bit over the last few days, but, Mark making his debut tonight, just what are the things you're looking for as a baseline for him, and just how amped is he to get on the floor?
Yeah, I think it's that, his energy, his excitement, what that brings just to our group. He's put a lot of work in, and, he's had a long summer of work off the court. And then to finally get out there, to see, be in front of these fans, I know he's excited. And I think that's where we'll start, like just his excitement, his excitement, we'll use that to help us, his energy, and then a little bit of conditioning, like just to see how he is in the flow of play. We want to play fast. We want to get up and down, see how that looks right off the bat.
Coach, the Kings are such a good example of how deep the league is right now, where I'm sure as a coach like 10 to 15 years ago, not that you were in that position per se, but if you're looking at the top of the scouting report, maybe like one guy for a team in that position, but you got DeRozan, Levine, Westbrook, Schroeder. Just what's it like game planning for teams right now in the league when Kings are projected to be one of the worst teams in the league, but they've still got so many options for you to worry about?
Yeah, I got a text last night from someone that just said, like, you can get beat any night, and especially here in the West, and early in the season where majority of teams are healthy. You're not through the rigors of the season. Everyone's excitement level is pretty high. They have a lot of talent, and especially in the guards position, with Sabonis out, they still have a lot of guys that can go out there and score. So, yeah, it's a great test here opening night.
With Mark, I was curious, players in his position, sometimes it's a dialogue between the player and the coach throughout the game. Do you expect that with Mark, or is it going to be more so like letting him do his own thing? He knows like the minutes are where they are, and he's in a good spot right now.
I think he's in a good spot. He knows what we are looking to do. We know this is just opening night. We know there's 82 of these. He's had his own challenges to get healthy, and he wants to be healthy, and we want him to be healthy. So there's a constant dialogue, pre-game, in-game. I'm definitely going to make sure I check in just to see what he is, again, the conditioning piece, but we know what he brings, and, again, we'll use that excitement, that energy that he's going to bring the first time in a Suns uniform to our benefit.
Hey, Jordan. Obviously a lot of interest in what Malawach will bring right away. Is he, do you see him in the rotation? Do you see, what can he bring this early in his career being just 19?
I think that's it. He's 19. His joy, his spirit that I continue to talk about it. Right off the bat, he knows where we love him. He knows this is a plan. We have such great center depth tonight. He may or may not get in, and he is ready. He wants to get in. He wants to impact. He wants to help us win it. But we know we have great center depth at this point, and we don't know what the end of the week looks like. So whenever his name is called, he'll be ready to rock.
Hey, Jordan, you've mentioned a few times that the way this group practices is abnormal. How early did you notice that with this group?
Pretty early. We can talk about being competitive, but it's easy to talk about going out and competing at the highest level when you have a roster full of competitors. And, we just with such roster change, we knew what Dylan's edge, his grit, his toughness, how that would impact our group on a 82-game schedule. I'm not sure we anticipated his impact in the practice schedule or practice routine. You know, he brings it every day. I think that's lifted other guys. Yeah, I think it is abnormal, but I don't think it's abnormal for these guys.
Coach, I've talked to other assistants around the league that have been head coaches, and they've said that their style maybe has changed in terms of being an assistant and then being the head coach. Do you sort of feel the way you approach conversations with players being any differently now that you're a head coach as opposed to an assistant?
I don't know if my approach has been different. I understand that my words are more valued as the head coach. You know, I think we all, you know, as you progress through your career, you understand when you move over, it's going to be different. I anticipate some of that, but I try to be my authentic self, whether I'm an assistant, wherever I started as a GA, you know, try to be myself in every role, but I do understand players want to know exactly where they stand with the head coach. And at times, you know, I have to be direct as a head coach, exactly what I expect, exactly where they can help us more. So I do think it's changed slightly in that area, but everything else, I hope, you know, you talk to people where I was an assistant or a head coach, and I'm just authentic and to myself.
Coach, my apologies if you've already been asked this, but about Grayson, he's available tonight, right?
Yeah, as far as we know, Dwayne, he hasn't done his pregame shooting slot, but, you know, he got through shoot around good. You know, he seems to be on pace to be ready to rock.
Looking at Jalen as far as a timeline, I know this is around the update time for him. What's the timeline for him as far as getting back?
Yeah, Jalen just continues to progress. You know, again, now we're on the road, so the lack of practice time, we're going to have to get a little creative, but he'll be on our road trip and just continue to progress to see where he ends up at the end of the road trip.
Last thing I have was, are you going with the same starting lineup except Mark instead of Oso?
I think we'll hold that to 30 when I have to put him in.
Hey, Jordan. So when you look at building out your lineup, your rotations generally, the versatility within that, how are you kind of gauging that and figuring out player combinations and just kind of gauging that based off of preseason and training camp?
Yeah, I think it's preseason, the training camp practices, some past experience of myself or the guys. But with Mark in the fold, it's different. So to think that many of the lineups that we went through in the preseason are going to be what they are tonight, I just don't think that's going to be the case when you throw a new player of his impact into the rotation. So we'll evaluate. This is one game of the evaluation. We're not going to overreact to whatever happens tonight for our lineups. We know we need a bigger sample size than just the initial game. Good.